Welcome, welcome, welcome to another fantastic episode of Tickle.Life's podcast. Hee hee. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Gaia Morrissette, and I have, as you know, I always like to let my guests introduce themselves. So, beautiful, wonderful guest, tell us what your name is so that it's pronounced properly and what you do in the world.
Okay, so I'm Lavinia, but better known as Lulu, and better known as Lulu the Sexpert. I am a certified sexpert based in Brooklyn, New York, and we have been in this fabulous industry going on 4 years in February.
Beautiful. What's your last name? How do they pronounce your last name?
Mm. Hamilton Batista. Sometimes it's Hamilton, sometimes just Batista. That's depending on the mood, but I use both because I represent the husband.
All right. So, as I always ask all of my guests in the beginning of our show, do you sleep in the nude or you sleep with pajamas on?
Only tops.
You only sleep with the tops on.
You're a
Okay.
topper.
All right. You're a topper. And do you go commando or do you wear panties?
Panties.
Okay. All right. So, what are we talking about today? What story are you going to talk to us about?
We are talking about my first receiving of oral play experience.
Nice. So we're going to talk about oral sex, licky licky, cunnilingus, which is just so much fun to say. Cunnilingus.
I don't like all the when you do the ending.
Now, so this is mouth, just so I can teach you a moment. This is mouth on vulva. Okay. All right. So, how old are you? When's the first time?
So I just want to give a little bit of backstory. I always in the beginning was like, I'm never gonna have anybody do this to me, and I'm never going to be giving. The thought of it was like, no.
Okay, wait. So why? Where did that come from?
The part about me not giving is a control issue because I didn't feel like I wanted nobody to be putting anything all in my face and controlling what was happening.
Okay.
And the other part was that I'm not a person who does a clean shaving. I still have, I like my almost 60s kind of how my pussy looks. She likes to be covered. She don't want to look like a little bald person. So in my mind, I was almost afraid like people gonna be like, oh, I'm not put my face there. You got too much going on. So I was like, okay, I was not even gonna venture because I don't want to feel like something was wrong. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do either one because if I'm not gonna get, I'm not gonna be given either. So we're just gonna not do it.
Okay, so how old were you at this point?
I made this decision at 15. Yeah, so right.
All right, so you made this decision at 15. So at 15, were other girls around you shaving and trimming and not having pubic hair? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just so that we kind of have an idea, because society has changed. It changes a lot depending on what time zone we're looking at.
Right.
It depends on what the bush is doing. What society's acceptable bush is.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh, okay. And it wasn't really like a big deal at the time. I was like, all right, whatever. So I had a semi-serious boyfriend around 17 years old.
Okay.
And he kept talking about it. And I was like, I really don't.
Okay, wait. So you've had other sexual experiences up to this point. Okay. All right.
Right.
So,
just not any of those.
Yeah. So no licky licky.
No
one's going to, yeah. Okay.
So, we were in a serious thing and, one day he was like, I just want to do it. And we were just like in a foreplay thing happening. We were kind of watching TV. It was going on. And he's like, look, I'm just going to do it because I like what you have going on down here. I'm like, all right. And he's like, yo, I'm good at it. You're going to think thing is going to be amazing. I was like, all right, give it all right, go for it. Let me see what's happening. Because everybody's always talking about this thing is so amazing. Like, I was like, all right, go ahead. So it started, and already I was like, am I supposed to be doing something? Should I move a leg over? Like, what is my position in there? What is my contribute to this whole thing happening? And so he's like, no, I got it. So I'm like, okay. I'm trying to get into like a mood to receive it, because I almost felt like I was thinking too much about what's happening and I couldn't receive it.
Yeah.
So,
So what was some of those thoughts? What were some of those thoughts that were running through your mind? Do you remember?
the first was, I hope no one, because again, I'm only 17, right? So I'm in my living room having my date. I'm like, oh, I hope no one comes out here, because that's gonna be awkward. Kept looking around. Did you hear that? Okay, never mind.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So you're definitely worried somebody's going to walk in. Yeah. That definitely, prevents us from being in the moment. Definitely. Yeah.
Exactly. And then like I was kind of almost like, so am I supposed to be feeling excited immediately? Because you never hear, well, I've never heard someone say as soon as it started, like there was a warm up or something. Like they seem like when they talk about it, as soon as it happens, it's explosive. So I'm like, so is it happening now? Did I miss the explosion? Is it not coming? I didn't know what was happening. So I was like, okay, let me receive this. So I went, closed my eyes, and tried to get relaxed. And I was like, okay.
Was it feeling good? Was it like, what was he doing? Was he licking? Was he sucking? Was he anywhere?
There was there was flicking, there was flicking on the clitoris. There was a lot of tongue on the clitoris. There was nothing going inside, so we didn't do any dual, any fingering at the time. It was just that. And I was just like,
oh, just hold on. So for teachable moment. So it's new thing. Teachable moment. Fingering is putting your fingers inside the vaginal canal. All right, and go.
In 2000 and in 99, it was called finger popping for those in Brooklyn. So I was like, okay. So it started to feel like a little bit tingly. I started to feel like, when you do foreplay and you start to get warmed up, and, I'm like, okay, so all right, it's cool. Feel a little something happening. And like, then he started to go faster. And I'm like, wait, because I was almost at a moment. And then now you change the moment. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm a little bit annoyed. I'm like, wait. It's not right. He's like, what? I'm like, something you just did, it's not right now. Like, try again. He's like, all right, just like chill out. I'm like, I'm chilling out, but it's not happening and I'm getting upset now. So he's like doing it, and again, I was getting into it. And then something like triggered. I don't even know what it was. And I got bored. And I started watching wrestling, because I remember it was a Monday and I was watching wrestling, and I just started watching, and he was like down there, I think for like 15 minutes, just whatever he was doing. But I wasn't paying it no mind. I was watching TV. I was so annoyed by it that I never let him do it again. And we dated for another like 6-7 months after that, and this never happened again. And like, we didn't have no conversation. He didn't really ask. He did say, I know you had a good time, right? Because you were so quiet. And I was like, what? Watching TV. Let it be very clear. Like, no. And so, obviously, for me, I had conversation with my friends. I was like, you guys lied. That shit was boring. I don't know what you guys even talking about. I'll just stick to the having sex, because that, I don't want it anymore. We're finished. I don't want it. Like, it was so annoying. I was like, why people
so what do you think, looking back on that, what do you think happened in that moment that you kind of switched from, this is kind of starting to feel, to now I'm just bored and I've kind of disconnected from my body and now I'm just watching television? What do you think happened in that moment?
I feel like he had a plan, but it didn't include me.
Yeah.
Like, you were doing a thing, you were saying that you were good, and for whatever maybe past experience, those people, whatever you were doing was good for them, and didn't realize that it wasn't good for me, and you just didn't change it up. And you were like, well, it worked all the other times. Why is it not working for you? It's something wrong? Nah, everything don't fit everybody. Like, if I stopped you at first and said, you were doing something in the beginning that was starting to work, and you changed it, and you didn't even think to go back to that. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever.
So it's the fact that you weren't heard. And the fact that you weren't a part of like, it wasn't really about you.
Right. And there was just like nothing else happening. just felt very displaced. I almost wanted someone to come out so you can stop. So, one's coming? Like, you guys are just being nice today and no one's cop blocking? Gee, thanks.
All right. So when do you get a new experience? Do you first of all, is that always been your experience with cunnilingus, or does your experience receiving cunnilingus improve?
The experience now has overflowed in experience now, since my life would never be whole at this point if I didn't have this at now. That changed when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
And I met my now husband of almost 2 decades.
Okay.
And we talked about it, and it was a conversation. And I explained to him, I said, listen, someone tried before and I was very unhappy. So I'm very apprehensive about us trying this again. But we always had a lot of passion. And we met at college, whatever, and I had left college, but I always come every other weekend to see him. So the excitement was very high. So that weekend, I'm coming to see you. I had a nice thing on. I had some nice silk thongs that have the little tie at the end. So you just pull them and they just fall off. And I had this really great velour jumpsuit that he loved to see me in. And when I walked through the door, that was it. I didn't even get to put bags down good. And so you want to try it now? I said, yeah, let's just do it. Because now I'm excited. And I'm like, oh, I missed you. I didn't see you. And it was amazing. We had to take the sheet off. The thing was wet, complete. I was like, oh, is it now? I was like, oh, well, now I know I got to talk to those friends.
So tell me why that was different. Like, what happened there? Like, what did he do? What was the experience that he was creating for you that was different?
I think, honestly, the one thing is that was the first time for him also, because he had never done cunnilingus to anyone else. So for me, knowing that I was that first person is very special. Knowing that you really was looking forward to this thing. Like, it was not this, we're sitting somewhere and like, hey, you want to do this now? It was thought behind it. And it was very taken care of. You didn't rush it. It took a lot of time, and you just kind of worked with what was happening with my body, and you really listened. And it was just like, I was like, oh, look, there's stars, there's things happening. Look, it's, woo, amazing. I said, this is what they were talking about. I got it now. That's it. Now you can't leave because if I don't get this again, we have a problem.
So when you said the bed was wet, was it because, like, what happened? Did you ejaculate? Was it you just having orgasms? Like, what was happening?
I obviously at that time still, knew, because obviously I was having sex and all that, but I didn't really get that whole, when you having these multiple orgasms. I know I've come before and I've, had experiences where it was like, wow, the pussy is still jumping days after. Amazing. But this was something different. Like, I just felt the whole body just be free. And then where I was laying, the whole spot was wet. I was like, oh, I guess you're going to lay there. Because like, the wet spot, which is still the conversation now. I don't lay in a wet spot. But I just felt immediately free. And I immediately wanted to go to sleep because I was so exhausted.
So was that the first time? Was that the first time that you had that kind of? And what would you say now, knowing what you know now about sex and orgasms and things? What kind of orgasmic release did you have?
I definitely feel that was a multiple clitoral release. Absolutely. Because again, we didn't do any fingering. It was just strictly on the clit.
Yeah.
And I was like, woo.
Nice.
Time almost was like standing in a still, which people must be like, yeah, okay, right. But for me, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, I just felt completely wanted in that moment. Completely. It was just about me in that moment. He didn't ask for anything. What about me now? Kind of after thing. And just after, just held my body and we went to sleep. And I didn't even know how much time had elapsed, what was happening. I felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, I need a drink after this because I'm just so tired and happy all at the same time.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And maybe that's why you married him.
That'll be why I proposed to him. See, there it is.
Beautiful. Okay, so what's one thing that you could tell the audience or a young girl that you wish you had known? Like you'd wish that you had known earlier on in your sex life?
I would definitely say always value your experience and be able to talk about that and be comfortable. You know, if someone says to you, oh, I did a great job, that's what's happening in your mind. But for me, I wasn't satisfied. Mm-hmm. I needed something that you didn't do. I needed more of. I guided you and you went a different way because you didn't want to receive what I wanted to get out of it. So be okay to tell somebody tonight wasn't it, or I've had better from you, you know, and they should be okay with that because everybody's not gonna have a good night. It's not gonna be spectacular all the time, but be okay to say, today I really wasn't happy. And I don't know what it was, but it just wasn't it for today. And be okay with saying that because a lot of people don't say it. If I'm not happy, listen, I'm like, you know, today wasn't it. Like, you know, and you don't get upset because yesterday was amazing, but today just wasn't it. And we should be okay to say that and not feel judged.
That's beautiful. All right. How can people spend more time with LuLu?
Every day, more and more, right? But on my Instagram, it's LuLu Inc. 83, which is LuLuInc 83. I just became part of the Twitter community. I'm so old, right?
That's very cute.
You're like, you just got on Twitter? I did. And my Twitter name is capital L, LuLu, capital T, the, and capital S, Sexpert. So it's LuLu the Sexpert, but every first letter is a capital. Make sure you can find me. And on Facebook, it is LuLu Batista, which is Batista. And my website is www.ululucherrybox.com. And you can find me also doing some things on Tickle.Life and reviewing on Xbis right now.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks for coming on the show. You know, it was a lovely chat. I enjoyed your company very much. And, you know, for all of our listeners, I hope this was inspiring. I hope this made you realize, oh, you know, if this was a moment where you got to have a similar, or you had a similar experience, that don't give up, that, you know, oral sex, licky licky, cunnilingus is spectacular when you have a great partner who will listen to your cues. And it's important to give your partner cues so that they are not a mind reader. So make sure you go check out Tickle.Life. Go see all the other episodes, Tickle.Life podcast. And if you want to spend more time with me, you can visit me at GaiaMorrissette.com. Have a juicy day. Bye-bye.